A wake-up call for Democrats hoping to flip Congress. A new warning says ditch the radicals or risk losing again. A center-left think tank blasting what it calls the party's unshakable belief that running farther left will fire up turnout, calling that strategy a proven loser, and slamming progressive groups for pushing far-left candidates in swing districts, costing Democrats key seats there. Our panel is standing by, but first, Chief Congressional Correspondent Chad Pergram reports live on Capitol Hill. Hey there, Chad.
Julie, good morning. History is not on the side of the GOP. Historically, the party of the president loses about 25 House seats in the first midterm. But Democrats must run the right candidates in the right districts. They cannot lean to the left.
What we see Democrats saying is we want ideological purity. We want to be much more progressive. And some candidates just do not play well in some districts. I think the lessons out of this year's odd year elections is run candidates that best fit where you're seeking election to.
It's possible that a more moderate Democrat could have helped the party flip a seat in Tennessee during a recent special election. Democrats are preaching affordability. They believe they have the advantage when it comes to health care, but the GOP rejects that.
When the Democrats want to talk about affordability, that's like the arsonist trying to become the firefighter. They're the ones that created this mess. They don't have solutions for it. They just have talking points. Donald Trump's tax policy is really going to impact working families all across this country when they start filing their taxes early next year.
Expect Republicans to campaign on the big, beautiful bill. If Democrats win the House, they're already talking about investigations and possible impeachments of cabinet secretaries. One member is eyeing the Pentagon.
When we take back the House in 2026, every single one of their actions is going to be under an MRI. We're going to evaluate them up against the laws of war, and they will be held accountable for violating those laws of war.
Now, another factor is redistricting in Texas and California. But it's possible that the Supreme Court could strike down part of the Voting Rights Act. That could shift 20 seats to the GOP. Julie?
All right, Chad Pergram, thank you very much. Let's bring in Cassie Smedley, former RNC press secretary, and Christina Antello, a Democratic strategist. Happy holidays, ladies. I love your festive outfits today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Julie.
Cassie, let's first just talk about the fact that the Democrats are in denial yet again, because this whole far left movement has hurt them. It hurt them in the presidential election. It's going to hurt them in the midterms. It's going to hurt when the government shuts down yet again. They're seeing the Democrats as like the no can do party.
Yeah, I like that. Well, here's the problem, Julie. The cardinal rule of winning an election is you have to be able to turn out your base. And today's Democrat base is far left woke. And so they keep getting the oxygen and taking up the noise. And therefore, the candidates that they like are getting the oxygen and taking up the noise, a la Zora Mandami. And so there's this perception that that's what you have to run as if you're going to have a chance of winning. And the broader electorate says, please, please send us a pragmatist. Please, please send us someone who wants to get something done. And even in that clip that you just played in the package, that they've said, all we're going to do, should we win the majority, is have investigations, try and impeach the president, try and impeach the cabinet. That's not what the majority of the American people want, right, left, or otherwise.
Yeah.
They want people who are going to go there, get to work for them, and hopefully make the American dream more attainable for all of us.
Christina, some of the Democrats looking to secure Senate seats next year are under fire for saying some pretty outrageous things. Past comments on defunding the police and recent anti-ICE rhetoric. One Iowa hopeful called fatal police shootings a white problem back in 2020. A Senate candidate in Michigan recently wore an Abolish ICE TV shirt and reportedly deleted a whole trove of defund tweets from his social media. And then, of course, my favorite, the left's Texas firebrand, Jasmine Crockett.
The defund movement seeks to actually bring about healing. Defund is about finally being smart on crime.
As somebody who understands history, when I see ICE, I see slave patrols.
Okay, she has said, Christina, that the defund movement brings healing. What in the heck is that supposed to mean?
Listen, Democrats across the board, and especially the more liberal and more progressive ones, have been more focused on the issues of, if we're going to enforce the laws, then we have to enforce the laws as they're written. And they feel that particularly the Trump administration crosses the line and goes way past it and doesn't follow our own laws here in the United States. There aren't warrants. We're arresting citizens, and we're just assuming people that are black or brown or have an accent are the ones that are here illegally, and then create a lot of problems on the street. So that is what they're talking about.
I know, but I'm talking about the defund the police movement. I mean, how is that healing? The police are there to protect us from criminals, whether they be illegal immigrants or Americans. It doesn't matter. A criminal's a criminal. And you want to defund the police? That's supposed to heal us? That's going to hurt us. Is it not, Cassie?
Listen, Christina, I'm with you on that. Like the police are absolutely there, are part of our communities. But the part that she's talking about is when there are abuse of powers, and that certainly happens.
Cassie.
What's confounding to me, Julie, is that one of the top issues that Republicans ran and won on, that President Trump ran and won on last November, was safety in communities. Certainly legal immigration, cracking down on illegal immigration, but returning safety to our communities. It felt like everybody's once safe backyard had now become a place where we didn't feel safe. And so it's really bizarre to me that these Democrats, yes, Jasmine Crockett can win in her specific urban district, but to try and run statewide on that messaging just seems silly, seems like a fool's errand, because the voters have already told you that we want safe communities, we respect our police, and we respect the rule of law and support elected officials who are going to enforce the rule of law.
Okay, New York City and Seattle, by the way, are set to swear in their new socialist mayors next week. This is why I just sold my home and moved out. In New York, Zohran Mamdani will be sworn in by fellow progressives Letitia James and Senator Bernie Sanders, who called Mamdani's win the start of a new wave. Listen.
What did you see in New York City? What are you going to see all over this country? You're going to see progressives running, protecting the needs of the working class, taking on big money interests, fighting for an agenda that works for all, not just the few. No great secret.
And then let's go to Seattle, because Katie Wilson will be hitting the ground there, running with her own far-left agenda. She plans to Trump-proof the city, launch non-police emergency teams, install city-run solar panels, and base her policies in equity. Christina, does that seem like really pertinent responsibilities that a mayor should be tending to the second they step into office?
I think that a lot of these progressives have messages, parts of their messaging that says that, kind of goes to the affordability arguments that a lot of Americans are dealing with, and the reasons why the Trump administration is failing them. They voted for lower prices and they're not getting them. And so when you hear a communist or a socialist type of message, there's a lot in there about affordability. I mean, I'll take free education, I'll take free housing, I'll take free groceries.
Somebody's got to pay for it, though. I mean, nothing is free. No,
I'm with you. I'm Cuban by background, and I know communism doesn't work. So I'm with you 100% on that. Listen, but the thing is that part of that messaging is about affordability, and it's the Trump administration's lack of a response on the affordability arguments that just have not been able to kind of get through.
I mean, I think that Trump is trying to bring costs down, and he has done so. I mean, the gas prices, for example, the cost for your Christmas dinner has gone down. So he's only been in office for under a year, and already he's made a huge change in the economic
other bills that are way high.
I mean, but Cassie, would you agree that our economy is stronger now than it was a year ago?
I just paid $1 less a gallon for gas yesterday, and I had an exchange with a man at the grocery store where we were glad to see that we were paying half as much for a carton of eggs as we were a year ago. So yes, things are going in the right direction. But I will say, heading into a midterm year, these socialist experiments on the coast, Republican candidates should welcome them, because we're going to see in real time a failed socialist experiment. And anybody out there promising you the world and free, you're going to get to see in real time how that doesn't work, and your costs are going to go up in those cities. And that's something that Republicans can run on and say, we have the policies that are actually helping you and your family.
I mean, even Democrats here in New York are starting to get in line with Trump, like Governor Hochul, in order to try to reduce energy prices. I mean, it's time to get on board, because honestly, the reduction in costs is what this country needs now more than ever. Hopefully we see it in 2026. Cassie Smedley, Christina Antello, thank you both for coming on, and Merry Christmas to you both.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Julie.
Hey, it's Will Cain. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Cain podcast for full episodes right now.